Welcome to What Sold, the channel where we just show you what we bought, what we sold it for, how long it took, and what we made. Let's do it. First up today, we have this lot of photo booth portraits, and this is one of those areas that I'm really interested in. I've been collecting photo booth pictures for a long time. I bought this. This is an example of something I sourced on eBay and then sold on eBay to make profit. I bought a lot of 119 photo booth pictures for $60, and I got that. There were several that I wanted personally, so I plucked the ones that I wanted. Then I relisted. There was like 140. That's my bad. There was 140. I took 9 of them for myself, and then I relisted 131 of them for $100. Essentially, I took a best offer of 80. So I didn't make a whole lot of money. I made like $10 or $15 on this, but I was able to get the photos I wanted for free. So that was kind of a cool thing. Sometimes you can do that if there's things you want and it's in a lot. You get the lot. And then you take what you want. Here was a watch I bought for $3. It was a very unique, strange kind of thing. Matteo Thun is the model series. Jacques Lemans or Le Mans, I don't know how you pronounce it, was the maker, and it works. It just needed a new battery. Sold it for a best offer of $36. Again, that cost me only $3 at a local thrift store. Here was a guitar that we had here at the warehouse that my brother Rusty got to fix up. He did that. He only paid $40 for it. We sold it for $62. All being told that probably the shipping was really only about $24, $25. So we made some money on the shipping also. Here was a lot, a set of really pretty angel skin coral. Coral is one of those natural substances. Obviously, it grows in the ocean. There's black coral, there's white coral, there's red coral, and then there's pink, and that's often called angel skin. This was set in 14 karat solid yellow gold. I bought these for $3 at a thrift store too. They didn't know that they were not just costume pieces, but they are made of gold, and people really, there's a big collector market out there for coral. Paid $3 for this, sold it on auction for $197. Coral. Know what coral looks like. Know the difference between genuine, authentic coral and coral that has been stained. A lot of the red coral out there is red coral, but a lot of the red coral out there is actually white coral that has been dyed. So if you were to cut that piece in half, it would be white on the inside. And that's... I could get into that, but I won't. Okay, here is a tool. This is a nice kind of like planer, a router plane. It has a small blade. You can see right there. But this was a really cool vintage Stanley plane. It had been mounted on a nice piece of wood. I bought this in a lot of a bunch of tools at an estate sale recently, and this sold for, I paid $125 for all of the tools. And I mean over $1,000 worth of tools here. I sold this one item first, $114. I've almost made all my money back on somewhere around 80 to 100 tools off of this one tool. So I'm really excited about this particular lot and where it's going to take me. So $114. I wouldn't probably have paid $50 or $60 for this because I knew what it was and I knew it had value. Old hand planes, big collector market for that, particularly vintage Stanley brands and some of these older boutique brands. These are ones that, this is a lot of late 1800s to early 1900s letters. And as you can see here, as I show you, these all have handwritten, addresses on them, and they have kind of unique stamps from that early period of time. And during that time, depending on the years, postcards and small letters like this only took 1 cent. There were 1 cent or 2 cent stamps. You can see right here, there's 2 1 cent, so it was a 2 cent stamp postage. But a lot of these were from actually being written from Europe during World War I back to family in the United States. Most of these I got in a lot. I added a couple others that I'd found at local estate sales. I think the majority of this, like 80% of this lot, cost me $10 in a bundle, and then others $2 or $3 a piece. So I sold it for $70, probably made at least $50 profit off of that. Paper ephemera sells really well. Here's another example. It's just a page out of a stamp collection, of which I have many, many pages and many individual stamps. You can see a lot of older ones, even some higher value cent stamps, 12-cent stamps, 30-cent stamps. If you can find stamps that are unused, have not been canceled, they still have value today. You could use them on a postcard or a letter today, even if they're 50, 60 years old. They always retain their actual monetary value, as long as they haven't been canceled or used. I've sold this page for $10. I bought an entire lot, like a very large stamp collection. I'm talking 40 or 50 books full of stamps for about $120. And so this is one page out of one book sold for $10. You can see how that can add up pretty quickly. It's going to take time. It's going to be a slow burn, but this is nice to have kind of as a base. Little things, $10, $20 here, selling over time. This is a small lot of vintage watches, ladies' watches. A lot of these are gold filled. You can see right here, well, I clicked on the wrong thing. Here we go. We got some various brands, Elgin. Some of these are featuring diamonds. Most of them, Benrus, probably some Walthams in there. All of these are gold filled, rolled gold. So it'll say 10K RGP on the back of it, or 1/20th 12K, something like that. So they have a gold filling on the outside of them, but I like to sell them intact and not just harvest the gold, because people might want to use them for the watches themselves. This was a lot of 7 watches plus, one of the watches has no band, and then just the link to hold us the wristband or whatever together. I would not have paid more than $3 a piece for any of these, but I think that some of these came in a lot, so I was probably more closer to $1 in, $3, $6, $7 to $8, let's say. I took a best offer of $70 for this, so it's pretty reasonable that I'm going to do $10 per watch. So if you don't know, vintage watches, especially if they're automatics, meaning they don't need a battery and they just wind to start, then those can have really good values. Next up, I've got this interesting lot of mechanical pencils, vintage ones from the early 1900s. One has a little pin here that you could attach it to your clothing so it doesn't drop and you don't lose it. They both had lead in them, and I bought these for $1 a piece, so $2 in, and I sold those for $32. All right, some really good sales here. This is like a really nice lot of antique jewelry. In fact, let me see if I can do it over here. Here we go. I'm going to click through like this. So we have a bunch of gold-filled cufflinks here, various kinds, really cool looking. Then we've got a variety of other brooches. This right here is like what they would call a mourning belt buckle. So it's like a black and white photo of a person who's passed away, and they turned that into a belt buckle, and people would wear that around. During the Victorian era, they were really into wearing jewelry that signified or represented loved ones that had died. Oftentimes, there are pieces that involve pieces of their body, hair. Jewelry that's woven, like it's their woven hairs, like the bracelet portion, and then it's a watch or it's a charm or something. These are gold-filled lockets with actual photographs of people in them. This is a braided necklace that has pearls and garnets. These are kind of like bohemian, style of pieces, some cuff bracelets, some necklaces, and so on. Really cool lot. Some Czech stuff here, some Niger Brothers stuff, some Hattie, there's some Carnegie stuff in here. There's various things. But anyhow, $1,500. This is costume jewelry, folks. Costume jewelry, especially old stuff, can have huge values. This was even worth more than that if I had sold them individually, but I wanted to move this stuff because we get jewelry in here all the time. I would not have spent more than $3 a piece on any of those pieces. There are probably about 50 to 60 items in there. 60 100, I'm about $300 in on that lot, sold it for $1,500. Here's another lot of high-end costume jewelry. A lot of brooches here, as you can see. Really nice quality rhinestones, really good construction. Really cool pieces. I'm just going to kind of flip through here. You can kind of see some like that. Really beautiful pieces. A lot of them unsigned, but a lot of pieces that are signed. And some high, nice brands, D&E, Juliana, Lisner, Weiss, Coro. The list goes on. Another $1,500. So in basically a 2 to 3 day period, I brought in $3,000 just from costume jewelry lots. Definitely learn about those brands, because those can bring in big money sometimes. Now this was something called, this is a type of like measuring instrument. It's a caliper, but it was a vintage piece by Mauser. And it's like, I think it's a German brand possibly. I can't remember exactly. Here's an old typewriter. Typewriters, certain ones can really bring good money as well. You wouldn't think people use typewriters much anymore, and they don't as much, but there are collectors or people who still use them. They may even harvest components out of them to repair other things. But this one is a Webster XI 500. It's a portable typewriter. It came in its own little carrying case, as you can see here. That came in a buyout of an antique store I did a couple of years ago. It had sat here for about a year. That's okay, because I'd already made my money back on the stuff a long time ago, and it wasn't hard to store it. $60 for that. This was a really cool lot of just containers that hold jewelry. Not just the jewelry, but the actual like display box or the cases. They have values. Old ones that have like velvet lining and are really cool colors, or maybe on the inside there's the name of the company that made the jewelry originally, like these for example. These have values in and of themselves. I sold this lot of 20. I've already sold the jewelry. I made my money and my profit on it, and then these sort of pile up, and when I get about 10 or 20, I throw them in a lot like this. $20. So also, if you get really cool, nice ones with really cool colors, or they display really well, I'll use those to display the jewelry that I'm selling, and I'll just put in the description on eBay, the case was for display only and is not included in the lot. So sometimes you can frame or make the piece look nicer if you put it in an older box, and it's all about, that's just part of like almost like marketing for your product. This is an old pendant, a necklace that I bought when I was younger, at a time when I moved. I lived in New Zealand for a short time, and while I was there, I bought this. There's a type of jadeite or a type of nephrite green mineral that grows and forms in New Zealand that's unique to that region of the world, and they make jewelry out of it. Back in the day, when it was, just the indigenous people, they actually made weapons and ceremonial pieces, artifacts from it as well. Which you can see in museums there. It's really, really cool. I bought this. I found it in a box. I was cleaning out my house. I found it, forgot I had it, hadn't looked at it in over 20 years, and decided, I don't need this anymore. I'm going to sell it. Put it up, and lo and behold, I got a best offer for $60 within about 48 hours. Boom, sold. Very easy. I don't honestly remember how much I paid for that, because it's something I've had a long time, but I don't need it anymore. So if you have things you don't need, guys, throw them up there. You can make some good money. Here's also various cufflinks that had come in from various jewelry lots. Cufflinks don't sell real well for me individually unless they're made of silver or gold. So if they're just costume pieces, meaning they're not high-end pieces, but you have a set, you can throw these up in little lots or big lots, and they will sell. It just takes some time. This lot went for $32. I have nothing invested in these anymore because, as I said, they came in lots, and I just sort of pulled them out and sold them later. This is what they call a virtual headset, and this is from like the late 90s, early 2000s, so it's really old. I think it was a setup as a part of maybe either a gaming system or something to do with videography work. It came with a bunch of other lenses and videography equipment. And it was old. I didn't even know if it worked anymore. I threw it up there. I just thought, who knows? I mean, there were some other ones that had some good pricing on there. And I got someone contacted me and said, does it work? I'm like, it's not tested. I don't, assume it doesn't work. And he's like, well, I'm still interested. Boom, $50 for this thing. I had no idea it had any value at all. I have already made my money back. I bought this tub for $10 and it had all of this like high-end French branded videography equipment in it, and this was in there. I get these all the time. These are like little push pins or little pins that were made for workers to commemorate the amount of time that they worked for a company. So back in the day, companies would do this a lot. At 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30, 50 years, they would give you a little award, a little pin as a thank you from the company. And oftentimes they incorporated semi-precious or precious gemstones. So sapphires, rubies, emeralds, diamonds. The more years, usually the better quality the metal is. So it may be a base metal like these are for the first 5 years. But by the time you've worked for a company 20, 30 years, all of a sudden now these pins are made out of silver or gold and they've got diamonds in them. And you can find these for like 50 cents, 10 cents, and little trays at the counter of antique stores and stuff. I find them all the time. I paid, I think, 10 cents a piece for these. So I was 40 cents in, and I took a best offer of $20. People get those. They will melt the metal down. They will harvest the gemstones, sell them, or use them in jewelry. Or they just collect them because maybe it's a company they used to work for, or who knows what. Here were some shoes that came in an antique store buyout that I did a couple years ago. I've made my money back on that. I've got hundreds of items left. This was one of them, just a pair of shoes, Hush Puppy shoes, women's shoes. $20. That was a great for them because it's less than you would have to pay to go out and get them now, and they were brand new. They'd never been used. Here is a lot of sterling silver jewelry, scrap jewelry. Maybe it was broken, maybe it's an earring that's missing its partner, or just stuff that's not valuable really in and of itself, by itself. This is a bunch of silver. Usually I get about 75% of the gram weight. So if it's 100 grams, I'm going to make $70, $75. I sold this for a little bit less just to kind of move it, but I do this all the time. I pull stuff out of lots of jewelry that's silver and gold. If it has standalone value, I sell it by itself. If not, I'll put it in small lots or a scrap lot like this. And this is just someone who's melting down the silver and selling it to make a little bit of a profit. Here's a little type of, it's like a little trinket box. It might have been a pill box. It might have been a little jewelry container, maybe makeup. I'm not exactly sure, but it was a cool looking piece, nice ornately carved. It was silver plated, but you can see on the bottom, pretty heavy wear. So you're seeing the base metal at this point on the bottom of it there. But, I paid... that came in a lot of stuff, so I actually had nothing in it. Didn't sell for much, $8. I think that if I had waited longer, I probably could have got more closer to $12 or $14 for it. But that happens sometimes. Sometimes you just got to move product. This was another one of those things that I thought a person got a great deal. This is stuff from the 1939 World's Fair in the Bay Area of California. It was a part of the Golden Gate. They had a Golden Gate International Exposition. These were like tickets, little pamphlets and things they got at different exhibits there, little passes, this and that. $8. Somebody got a great deal on this, but I'd had it for about a year and a half. I thought, usually paper ephemera does really well for me, but this was just a niche that I guess either has not got a lot of interest or they have, there's just a lot of it out there, so I have too many competitors. But it's fine. I moved it. That's what I wanted to do. That came in a scrapbook that I got with a person's full, it was like somebody from the Midwest who took a road trip, went to several national parks, went to that exhibition, came back, and so I parted out pieces from that book and sold them, and I already had my money back before I sold that. This was a cool, like a pocket watch chain fob, gold filled, which means it has a small coating of gold on the outside of it. It featured some kind of faux pearls down here and either a synthetic opal or a genuine opal. I'm not exactly sure. Probably synthetic. But unique pieces like this that go with pocket watches can sell really well. A lot of time you need to test them because they can be either gold filled or made out of solid gold or silver, and those obviously sell for a lot more. But this one I paid $30 for at an antique store locally. Sold it for $124. This was a cool little lot, vintage razor by the Gillette brand. People are familiar with that. They still sell products today. A little velvet lined case, a little case that would have held the razors, an additional top, and then this kind of safety razor, which is cool. It looks like that, but you can also expand it. That's actually the tip of it, and then if you expand it, it opens up like that. That's where you insert or remove the razor blades. I paid $10 for that, and I sold it for $45. And then this came in with a lot of tools. Already made all my money back on the tools, and goodness, I'm having issues with the light. Anyhow, this is just a little Craftsman branded. It's made to extract screws that are stuck in. Like if the little outside part strips out, then you can drill those in and then back screw them, and it will remove them for you. $10, not a huge sale, but I've already made all my money back on that, so that's fine. Last couple ones here for today. This one I'm really excited about. I bought this. It was either yesterday or the day before yesterday. I bought it at a thrift store that I go to locally frequently. It was in with the costume jewelry. It was listed for $24, which is higher. Usually the costume stuff's $3 to $5. This was $24. They recognize it was a little bit better, but it's Chanel. The brand is Chanel. It's a gold-plated Chanel branded necklace that is genuine. I found other ones like it online. I sold it within 48 hours for $425. This doesn't happen that often, but you should know what brands are. Just because there's a bunch of costume jewelry on a thing, look through it. You can find silver, you can find gold, you can find really high brands, high value brands sometimes, and this was a perfect example. I had multiple watchers. I probably could have even sold it for more if I'd waited, but turning something that cost $24 into $425 in 2 days is like the ideal situation. Okay, this I'm excited about. As I mentioned, I think maybe earlier in this video, I've collected a lot of photo booth images over time, and I also own a photo booth and have used it to make kind of art creations and different things. I was going through cleaning stuff out. I found a bunch of stuff I made 10 to 15 years ago, held on to, and I thought, I don't need these. I'm not doing anything with these. Maybe somebody would want these. I started listing several pieces, anywhere from individual frames like this to strips and even art collage, artistic creations I'd made. And I threw this up, and within 2 days it sold for $20. One little photo booth frame, just because it's unique. There aren't any others out there with people who have shoes just sticking in the frame. It's bizarre, it's unique, it's not something you see very often. Collectors like odd, bizarre, dark, or creative things, and that's exactly what happened here. I can tell you exactly how much I was in on this. 7 cents. And that's how much the strip cost that I made this from, and I got 4 frames out of it. This is 1 frame, so 25% of 7 cents is how much this cost me, and the 30 seconds it cost of my time to make it. But this has really got me thinking, maybe I need to do some more of this type of work, because if they sell this well, shoot, like maybe I'll just become a photo booth artist. You never know. All right, so we've got a couple of direct boxes. This is used for musical equipment. You plug in a jack, a cord that would go to an instrument, electronic instrument like a guitar. Again, years ago when I used to play music and travel around and stuff, this is stuff I used. It's been sitting in a box for roughly a decade, and I don't use them, but they're in perfect condition. They still work, so I just threw them up. It says the auction ended for $10, and I don't know why it says that, because I actually sold these for $20. I had an offer open, and they wanted to get both for $10 each. So I actually sold them for $20. I paid more than that for them when I used them, but again, I got a lot of years of use out of them. They've sat for another 10 years, so I was happy to move that. Last up, here is some gold jewelry I've just been sitting on, hadn't listed it. If you go take a look at the video that's out on the Rusty the Reseller channel, my brother just put one out, and he, basically the whole point of the video is that we sometimes, as resellers, hold on to things and we don't list them like we should. It's fun to go find the ideas, find the treasures, buy them, we get them back, but then we don't take that final step of listing them to sell them. And you can't make money that way. If you don't do that piece, it's important to do that piece to make the money. And so I took that advice and I thought, you know what, it's December, people are spending money, I'm going to throw it out there. And within 24 hours, This sold for $800. This is 14 karat gold jewelry, one bracelet with pearls, and then the other one is just a solid gold necklace chain. But I took an offer. You know, you're going to sell this stuff for below spot values if you're going to sell it in this way, because the buyers are gold scrappers and they want to, you know, they're going to melt it, sell it off, and that 20% between what they paid you and what spot is where they make their money. So this is, somebody's going to make money off of this after I sold it, but it's okay, because guess how much I paid for these? $3 each. $6 because I found 2 pieces of gold that people didn't know were gold, and I do this weekly, monthly. I look through a lot of jewelry, so I do find this stuff. It is a lot of time, but when you do find that item and you pay $3 for it and it's worth $400, that makes up for a lot of the time that you spent looking and didn't find things of that value, because I'm still finding things of value, just not gold. Anyhow, folks, that's the video for today. I hope that this helped. I hope it gave you some ideas. We're approaching the holidays and Christmas time. I truly hope that you have a great time and spend some good quality time with friends and family. Take some time away from work. Give yourself a break. And we will be back at it very soon. Take care.